Thank you. Thank you everybody for coming. We're very excited to have you all here to talk about some of our local diversion programs. We've got a number of speakers. We're going to have plenty of time for question and answers. So I'm just going to kind of run through some of the agenda that is out there. If you haven't noticed what was scrolling, these are our announcements that we always try to do announcements in the beginning of upcoming trainings, things that may have come out, new resources. And on the back of your agenda is what I picked as my top 6. So that doesn't necessarily mean there's more. There's actually one additional slide, the one I froze it up to today. If you haven't gotten your 2014 annual report, we have a stack out there. So if you want to take some and share them, if you work with different boards or organizations that you want to share them with, or if you want us to come talk, let me know if there's not enough out there and we can make sure we get you some, because we did order enough that if people want them. Gotta open up the agenda. One of the things that I wanted to go over, well, actually I should point out, you do have minutes from the last meeting. We don't usually do motions on these minutes. It's more for an FYI. And I usually go right off of our YouTube video to be able to write these up. So if you have any questions on it, you can go back and refer back to the YouTube video on it. You also have the direct link for the recording from our last educational session on adverse childhood experiences. It was really great. And I need to point out again that on our website, which is why I wanted to just very briefly go through some of the online tools, which are all available at aodpartnership.org. On our website, you can actually access our YouTube channel through there, which has all of our previous recordings. So here you can see our April meeting, the short look back video of 2014, and so on. All of our recovery month videos, if you ever have a need to show a story of recovery in the work that you do, we've got those videos on there, and a whole host of other topics. So that's available through the contact tab, as well as our Facebook page. And some of you guys maybe don't use Facebook, some of you do. If you haven't liked the AOD partnership page yet, please do share it. All of our weekly updates actually get posted onto our Facebook page. So if you ever miss one, or if you're ever, you're like, oh, I remember seeing a story on that, but you don't have it anymore, you can always request that back from us. But the updates always end up on here for every week. So again, another resource, looking at the calendar for each one of our meetings. Our regular meetings get posted on here. If there's special trainings, they get posted on here. All the handouts, so like today's meeting, if you went to it, all the handouts for today, like the minutes, the agendas, the announcements, some of the research updates on some of the different drug court programs, anything that we have here today, always, if it's not preloaded on it, gets post-loaded on it. So if you ever are wondering, or if you ever want more information, like last time was on adverse childhood experiences, all that information gets put on here. So refer to it, use it, share it. Same thing with the updates, use them, share them, because that's why we do this for you. If you know of anybody that could benefit from getting our weekly updates, refer them to this page. They just enter their information in, and it automatically signs them up. They probably shouldn't sign up their email. They should probably sign up their own. Don't spam your family. But they can easily add it here. All of our brochures are on here. Some of the other different ways that you can get involved. Our resources tab, we just updated a little bit with some additional, these Wisconsin epidemiological profiles of alcohol and drug abuse, all the last 4 years. I know, as you're looking at things like the life report, a lot of the data ends up coming from this profile. So if you're looking for specific data related to alcohol and other drugs, we made sure the links were here. There's different fact sheets that just came out on these 3 topics, which are priorities of the AOD partnership, as well as some of the latest work group recommendations and reports. So this is just full of things. All the different initiatives that we work on, a little bit more about the AOD partnership, and our annual reports are available online to download and share too. So I can't stress enough, we redid this website with the intent to make it a lot easier on everybody. So make sure that you utilize it and check it out. we are going to be, I know we haven't had any stats, short-term action teams in a while, and that has a lot to do with, there wasn't anything pressing coming up, but I can tell you right now that there is something pressing coming up. Every September we have our Faces of Recovery luncheon. This will be our 3rd luncheon, and we're not for sure exactly how it's going to be set up. The first year we had live stories. Last year we had video stories. This year we're not for sure how the layout's going to be, but if you know somebody that has a recovery story that you think they would be willing to share, let me know. Get them my information. I believe Maureen Jorgensen, one of our board members, will be heading this up again. So we need help, doing some fundraising for it. We need help with some of the promotion of it. We need help with some of the things at the event, after the event. So there's a lot of ways to get involved. So if anybody's interested in being part of that planning committee, let me know. Before we get into the partner survey sum up, this is our sign-in sheet. Very important that you sign in here. If you've been to a meeting before, I'm hopeful not everybody's name ended up printed on here. If it did end up printed on there, make sure that your email address is correct. But we always ask some sort of question on here. So the question for this meeting is, it's time to start planning our annual recovery luncheon. Last year we had a suggested donation. I can't remember what we had it at. 15? So we're asking, what's a reasonable amount to charge for the event? It includes a plated lunch, unlike our celebration that was appetizers, but it does include a plated lunch in the program, and we try to have it at a nice location. So we're just asking, what would you be willing to pay to attend? So we're not going to stick you to it, don't worry. So make sure you sign in, and all the guests, there's extra sheets in the back as well. So if you don't find your name printed, they're there. So just to very briefly, and I'm going to end up sending out the entire summary because I think it's important. On the back of your minutes, I gave you 6 different graphs from our annual partner survey, which we do every year. We use it specifically for improvements on the way that we do things, make sure we're still meeting your needs. And it's really, our way to make sure we're doing what we say we're going to do, what we're committed to do. So, we always ask, has your experience, has it exceeded your expectations, met, failed to meet? You have some of that data there, and like I said, this is going to go out, and I don't know for sure if I'll send it with the open-ended questions or not, but you'll at least get kind of the overview of, ways that people can support the AOD partnership. What benefits do they see? We take a lot of what we do and how we do it and what justifies people investing in us and what our job is in the community from this. So we know people see the benefit of receiving information. We want to make sure we get that information to you. The barriers, this should be no surprise that the major barriers just demands on time, or if people can't make those meetings. We actually had about a quarter of our readership complete this survey. Every month we have of 800 people, we have about 200 that open it. So we had a quarter of those people complete the survey. So we feel we had a pretty good sample going forward as far as to give us an idea of where we're going. This is the first year that we started asking questions specific to the idea of collective impact, which if you're not familiar with collective impact, you can find information on it on that webpage on aodpartnership.org. But we wanted to see, do people feel that we're all on the same page? Do people feel that we're very open and honest in the messages and the communication that we have out there, not only as the AOD partnership, but as within our partners as well? Do we have very good evaluation tools? What are the things that we need to work on? And that's what really, the middle of the survey really pointed or really focused on. We also wanted to make sure that you continue to see value in having paid staff, because right now we have 1.75 staff, roughly. 50% of Aaron Ruff happens to be one of those, that portion of it. But we want to make sure people continue to find value in having paid staff to help organize and facilitate this group. We always ask, because meeting times, I know a lot of people can't necessarily make this meeting time because of different commitments, but it still continues to be the meeting time that has the best turnout or best availability. So that's why we started doing all the recordings of the meetings, which a lot of people still don't necessarily know we have those recordings available. So if you know of anybody that is interested in AOD, share with them our YouTube channel and say, you know, there's everything from meth to marijuana to heroin to, you know, risk and protection factors. I mean, there's a ton of different prevention messages there. So this will go out. Again, this is that question specific to the YouTube channel and the new website. And we always ask, what information do people want in the future? And this is how we help set up our trainings and the offerings that we have. So, you know, going back to those announcements, some of the things just to point out, you know, Western Marathon County has a meeting coming up on the 17th. You know, we already talked about the recordings that are available. The prevention conference that some of you guys have gone to in the past is this next week. And I believe you can still register online for that. Our next AOD partnership meeting is going to focus on trauma-informed care, which was one of the suggestions that came out of that partner survey. Very excited, and this is kind of a partner going into the partner updates now, but we're very excited that Marathon City has now opened up our 6th medication drop box in Marathon County. They're going to be open from 7 to 4, so it's a little bit different hours compared to some of the other places that are not 24/7. We're going to start publicizing the fact that this drop box has opened. But it's very exciting to have another place that's willing to accept those medications. And we collect probably 2 tons of medications every year. 2 tons. So every 6 months we turn in about 2,000 pounds of medications approximately. And when we did sort them, we haven't had to sort them in a while. It depends on, Rothschild actually does have to sort them because they get so many at that location. But we usually average between 1/4 and 1/3 are controlled substances that we you know, drugs of abuse. So your painkillers, your mood-altering medications, and so on. So, you know, having another location out in Western Marathon County, because right now it's just Colby Abbotsford, which is way out in Western Marathon County, we have something in the middle. Another partner update before we kind of open it up to who's here is some of you may have heard of equine therapy for mental health and substance abuse treatment and other developmental disabilities and so on. But they're actually going to be doing a tour of the Marshfield facility coming up here this week. It is open to the public. If you are interested in going, I think that, did I send out through the update last week? I don't think I did. Yeah, I don't think that you need to RSVP or anything like that. But if you want to get to know a little bit more about the Horses Treat facility, and you can see the acronym spelled out there, it's a phenomenal facility from what I'm told. And their handouts are,
they're passing around.
Okay.
I didn't get them to everybody, but there are pamphlets flying around, so if you want to pass to your neighbor if they didn't get one.
Yep. And again, that's something that we can scan and put online too, so if there's not enough, we can share that. So, any other partner updates? Deanna, I know you have something to share.
So I have a stack of Deanna Schutte with United Way. I brought a stack of Give and Get Help Guides. So this is a mini directory compiled by 211 that if you are looking for human service supports available in the community or opportunities to volunteer, this is kind of a mini snapshot version, more comprehensive list online. But I can either have a stack set here or distribute them, perhaps maybe just putting a stack in back and you can grab as you go. If you are looking for more copies, they are available at our office. You're also welcome to email the 211 office if you need some support in getting them to your offices. So.
My stack of brochures isn't as tall as Deanna's stack of brochures, but this is the Park and Recreation Department Spring and Summer Recreation Guide. I can also put it on the back table. You can grab one on your way out. It has the list of all our summer programs. There's also opportunities, especially in the swimming programs, for significantly reduced, like 75% off swim lessons and swim pool passes, which is a very good way to get kids engaged and active during the summer in a safe environment. So how to do that and is in there. Our website's also on the front to connect for more immediate information. And I still need 4 more lifeguards for summer, starting at $9.20 an hour. We will take somebody returning late, like coming in mid-June.
It's a pretty good bargain. Any other partner updates? And we'll actually put these out on the table out in the hallway
Okay.
So then people can take them if they have to leave early. So maybe Aaron can dump them out there. Any other partner updates? Moonwalking back, hopefully I don't trip. Okay, well, I think before we get, I bring up our first, we're going to talk, as you can see, we're going to talk today about our local diversion program. So one of the things I need to point out, though, is you all have an evaluation form in front of you. I cannot stress enough how important this is for us. So if you have to leave early, finish it up, leave it where you're sitting. Don't put your name on it if you don't want me to know who you are. But one of the things that we have to ask is, we're at the bottom for our funder. They want to get some demographic information. So this isn't shared. It isn't something that goes beyond just an aggregate amount of data. But it is something that is also important. But fill out what you're comfortable filling out. Give us some ideas of what you want to see coming up. And with that, I'm going to bring up our first speaker of the day, Melanie. Oh, it's like, oh, me? I don't know if he's speaking right away or no.
No, but I'll have him come up here because he can add his own personal.
Oh, did you want him right now?
It's okay. No,
Well,
that's fine.
I'm like, he doesn't have to come up here right away. Oh, this needs to be turned on. So you can use the clicker or you can use that, just the arrow button. Oh, and sorry, you can introduce yourself too.
My name is Melanie Strand, and I'm the OWI Court Coordinator here in Marathon County. And I'm here today, I'm talking about treatment courts in general. So treatment court started in 1989, and the first court was started in Florida. And the reason it was started is because the courts were tired of seeing the same individuals repeatedly come through the court system. And that's eventually where it first started. And so what they found out was that they had a lasting effect, and people weren't coming back through the system when they had started up the treatment courts. They found a solution by combining treatment and the criminal justice system. And as of June 30th, 2014, there were about 3,000 drug courts. Drug courts meaning mental health courts, diversion courts, family courts, mental health, dual diagnosis courts. So that term drug court encompasses a lot of different treatment courts. So OWI or DUI treatment courts, we're one of really the only states that call it an OWI court, operate all post-conviction. So someone comes into the court, they're convicted, and then they have a state and imposed sentence. So they, oftentimes for our court, they'll have a 3 years imposed in state prison sentence that they're facing. All the criminal justice stakeholders are included. So our team consists of myself, somebody from the DA's office is there, somebody from the public defender's office is there, the judges are there. We have 3 judges on our court, which is very rare. Most of the time there's only 1 or 2. Let me think. Probation is there, jail is there. So we have all different stakeholders that come to the meeting and make a determination for someone. And in a study in Michigan, including 3 OWI courts, outcomes displayed that participants were 19 times less likely to be rearrested for a subsequent OWI. And in a study in Georgia, outcomes showed recidivism rates at 9% versus a regular court session of 35%. So our OWI court started up in January of 2011. We're a post-sentence court for felony 4th through 6th OWIs. We don't take any earlier than that, misdemeanor 3rds, unless there's a different program that Maggie will probably be talking about today a little bit. And we don't take 7th or above. Our treatment is too intensive for 3rd and less, And statistically, it shows 7th and above, treatment courts aren't effective. So you must be 18 years of age to be in our court, you must be diagnosed with a moderate or severe substance use disorder, and you must be high risk or high need, and that's determined by the LSCMI. We determine it on case by case. It's a 3-phase program, which I'll kind of go into and explain. And they must have a year sober to graduate. Typically, the program lasts 13 to 18 months. However, we've had somebody in for as long as 3.5 years. Some people struggle more than others in treatment courts. So before I start with the phases of OWI court, the court is based on a sanctions and incentives perspective. So if somebody's doing well in court each week and they're going to all their treatment and all of their obligations, they get a point every week when they come into court. Once they collect 24 points, they get a gift card, a $20 gift card for their place of their choice. When things aren't going so well and somebody's showing up late or not showing up or late to court or doesn't show up to court, those individuals get a sanction, and they may be something as like a verbal warning from the judge all the way up to jail time. So depending on how severe or how many times it's happened will depend on the severity of the sanction that's delivered. We don't sanction drug use or alcohol use. Treatment courts are based on the knowledge that addiction is a disease, and we don't sanction those things. It's not a moral failure. So instead, we increase treatment, or we find out what's missing, is mental health missing, and provide those services. However, if they lie about their use, that's sanctioned, and pretty heavily too. So the preliminary phase of our OWI court starts with the individual serving their mandatory jail time. Typically, they serve half of their time, and then they're out on the monitor for the second half. And they have to begin attending all treatment, community service, job searching, as well as attending 3 self-help meetings a week. The next phase, phase 1, is when they get released from jail. Again, they're attending all their mandatory treatment and sessions. They have to have 90 days negative drug testing, and that's done randomly on a color system. They have a TAD monitor on to detect alcohol 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They have a curfew of 10 p.m. They have to retain a job or community service. They attend weekly court sessions, and they attend 3 self-help meetings weekly, and they secure a sponsor. In the second phase of the program, they attend court bi-weekly. This phase lasts 4 months at least, and they have to attend all their treatment again, attend their meetings, talk with their sponsor on a regular basis, and become actively involved in obtaining a GED. They have to obtain their GED to graduate unless there are extenuating circumstances, if somebody's getting SSDI or something of that nature, then that may not apply to them. In the last phase of our program, they have to attend court once monthly. They have to have a minimum of 6 months clean random drug testing. They have to follow through on their treatment. They have to pay their OWI court fees, maintain employment, provide an aftercare plan, and develop the ability to live a drug and alcohol-free lifestyle without supervision. So as the courts continue and they continue on in the phases, treatment becomes less and less. The only thing that we require in the last phase is that they're attending their self-help meetings. And at the beginning of this phase, they may attend something like relapse prevention. But we're trying to see how they're doing kind of with more hands-off, because we're very hands-on in the beginning phases. So outcomes for us, we've had no repeat OWI offenses since inception of our program, which is excellent. We've had 27 successful completions and 3 terminated participants. Somebody can be terminated for a variety of reasons. Most often what we see is that they're not complying with the program. Potential clients go through an assessment process. There are 4 participants right now. We have 17 current, 3 in the preliminary, 4 in phase 1, 5 in phase 2, and 4 in phase 3. So why treatment courts? So we know that 75% of drug court graduates remain arrest-free for at least 2 years post-court. That's very good odds. Money savings, they can save anywhere from $3,000 to $13,000 per participant. The savings are reflected in prison costs, arrest trials, and less victimization. You're 6 times more likely to keep a criminal offender in treatment long enough to get better. With the incentives and sanctions, and with 3 years prison sitting over someone's head, that motivates them really quick to want to get better. And usually, it works. Drug courts have shown to reduce methamphetamine use by at least 50% compared to just outpatient treatment alone. So Marathon County is planning a drug court. We're in the initial planning phases. This is a little bit more difficult and different because there's a lot of drug cases and you have to determine what cases are you gonna see in a drug court. We shadowed a national drug court in Savannah, and we really need development of more treatment in this area to be able to further pursue that, but it will be coming. And now I'm gonna have Clint present. He was one of our recent graduates in OWI Court, kind of give you his experience and why he was there and what he got out of it.
Hi, my name is Clint. I was asked to show up today to tell my story. I didn't prepare anything. I don't have any slides, and obviously didn't dress correctly. My story is I started using drugs and alcohol at a young age. The first time I got drunk, I was about age 9. And from that point forward, I had felt that I had found a magic potion. I started using drugs at age 12, and between age 9 and 12, I would drink whenever I could, stealing drinks at weddings, things like that. Growing up and using heavily, and by the time my parents figured out what was going on, I was already, a couple years into it, and was in pretty deep by the age 15. They put me in treatment when I was 17, a few months before I turned 18, because they knew they wouldn't have that opportunity to force me into treatment after that. I learned a lot, but I was only clean and sober for about 6 months, and I spent the next 23 years trying to manage my addiction and my alcoholism, making rules for myself. I had children. I had 5 children. I had careers. I supported my family. I would go through certain binges where I would get stuck on cocaine, or there was a couple years where I was drinking heavily when I was going through my divorce, where I was, using regularly. I could see myself, and I knew I didn't want to be that everyday drinker, everyday user. So I would manage to pull myself out of it, but just quitting something, wasn't the answer, and I guess I never really quit completely. I abused my Adderall. I was, I'm an ADHD, hyperactive from the beginning. I received 2 OWIs, extremely intoxicated. After my second OWI, I tried to manage that. I had a commitment to myself that I wouldn't drink and drive anymore. There was times that, obviously drinking clouds your judgment, and I did get behind the wheel. My third OWI, I was stopped at somewhere for work, which was a bar. I needed to check their credit card machine, and I had 2 beers and a shot and said, I got to get out of here. It was 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and somebody said I pulled out of the office bar in a hurry and called the cops on me, and I received my third OWI for a .06. After that, I had a strong commitment to not drink and drive, but one day a friend and I decided to go out of town, a little bit out of town, to the Tiki Bar and drink, and I said I would just have a couple and then we'll get back into town and park the car, and I ended up getting intoxicated and hitting was messing around on a corner where I grew up, a gravel road that we used to play on, and almost died hitting a tree, broke my neck, had blood on the brain, was in a coma for 6 days. My fifth OWI, I had managed, after that I had managed pretty well for about a year, and but never had any type of treatment, was just, you know, abstaining because of consequences, but never having any type of treatment. I had used meth a few times, but I understood when I used it that it would be an issue with me if I had any type of prolonged use, several days or whatever. But one day an old friend had stopped at the house and had smoked some meth with me, and then they stopped back the next week and we smoked some more, and they decided they were going to shoot up, and I watched them do it. I didn't do it at that point. The next time they came over, I let them shoot me up, and that was something that I never wanted to be. I grew up in the 80s, and a lot of my heroes in the rock world and you know, had died because of the needle, and I never thought that I would ever be anybody that would that would use an IV drug, any IV drug. After shooting up, and in combination, I had an issue with my son that caused some great negative emotions, and like in the past, that I had gotten into a daily rhythm, and within a couple months, I was every day, sometimes twice a day, and after about 6 or 7 months of shooting meth, I had got to the same point like I had in the past with cocaine or crack cocaine, where I didn't like what was happening to me. I was starting to not give my children the attention that they needed. I was starting to not give my work the attention that it needed, and I could see that it was taking over my life, and I was trying to quit. I was trying to, like I had in the past with the cocaine, I was just trying to get myself out of it, and it had such a strong pull that I wasn't doing it. One night, I left my house, and I was pulled over about 3 blocks from my house. It was a minor accident. Either way, you know, the cops came. Actually, the officer in the corner was one of the arresting officers. Watched him fly down Grand about 120 miles an hour. But I hadn't used that day. It was probably 2 or 3 days, 3 days at least, since I had shot up, and I was. But obviously, for doing something that much, it was still in my system. And they took me to the hospital, drew my blood after about 3 hours in the parking lot, and I had a trace of meth and some marijuana in my system. I was arrested, and I didn't get out of jail because I was on probation for my 4th OWI, and they wanted to revoke my probation. I have young children. I'm self-employed in a business that I need to be there when I need it. I have service after the sale, after I set it up, and it was devastating. At the time, I knew that I needed to quit. I knew before that I needed to quit. I was accepted into. I spent 6 months in jail fighting revocation and not getting out. I was accepted into OWI Court program, And the arrest that night, even though I'm still struggling with some of the effects of that OWI, I didn't have to go to prison, but it was a blessing, because I had struggled all my life with alcohol and drugs. The OWI Court program gave me the opportunity and showed me how, even when in the beginning when I didn't agree, there's a lot of programs, a lot of requirements. I'm not the kind of guy that likes anybody to tell me what to do at any time. But I submitted to the program, and after you go through it and you start to realize why they have you do the things that they have you do. Hindsight's 20/20, but the programs, the IOP, the getting involved, whether it's SMART or AA meetings, the self-help programs, relapse prevention, weekly counseling. Sometimes I feel sorry for the people that are in that I go to meetings with that don't have that opportunity to have those things, that they just have AA, that they just have that opportunity or that one piece, because I did need counseling and I did need group therapy. I've never lived my life for as long as I remember learning how to cope with myself, how to cope with feelings, how to deal with life on life's terms. I always had my magic potion. I graduated OWI Court a couple weeks ago. I continue meetings, I work steps, and I'm committed to a life of sobriety, and I don't ever want to go back, and I'm glad that I have 20 months and some days in now, and I'm thankful for the OWI Court program. That's all.
Schaefer, and I work at Attic Correctional Services. I've been there for just about 14 years, and throughout the years I've had a variety of different positions there. The longest position I had there was our OWI Intensive Supervision Program. The OWI Intensive Supervision Program targets offenders that have second, third, and misdemeanor fourth OWIs. The goal of the program is to target the AODA needs immediately after arrest, instead of someone getting arrested for the OWI, putting off treatment. The DA's office refers them on bond to us, and we basically begin case managing them, referring them to their required OWI assessment at North Central, provide alcohol and drug monitoring if needed, and the case management, have them attend a victim impact panel. So when someone's participating in that program, we work with the DA's office to ensure that they are doing their requirements. If so, they're eligible for a jail sentence reduction, which can vary from 25 days up to 150 days, depending on if it's a second OWI, third, or fourth. Again, if the offender is participating well, they come to sentencing, they are granted what's called the STOP program. The STOP program is just kind of a continuation of the pretrial, but it's post-sentence monitoring. So if the second or third or fourth offender goes into probation, the probation would be monitoring their compliance with their AODA treatment for the OWI assessment. If they're not in probation, Attic Correctional Services case managers will make sure the person continues with their treatment so they successfully complete. So that component, the STOP program, was started in around 2010. The program is voluntary, so when somebody signs a bond for their second or third or fourth OWI, they're referred to ADDIC, and we present them with this option. Most often, offenders do participate because there is, that huge sentence reduction, which they appreciate and saves taxpayers money. I would say probably about 85 to 90% of our participants complete successfully. Occasionally the other 10%, sometimes they just fall off the wayside, which we can, get them back in so they meet compliance with their treatment, or they may have occasionally another OWI. So that's a little bit of our OWI pretrial program. Our one other program that diverts jail time and actually formal supervision is called the Diversion Program. Referrals for that program are sent to us from the DA's office. And this program targets generally lower risk first-time offenders. Usually charges might be a disorderly conduct or less severe drug charges, where the person might need, obviously needs something, some sort of supervision, but not in intense formal probation. Our case managers screen and provide assessment to these offenders. Sometimes requirements are AOD or mental health assessments, group services, community services, or other community resource referrals. Generally, length of that program, 6 months to 9 months, sometimes 12 months. And if successful, the charges are either reduced to a lesser charge or sometimes not even on their record. And that program, I think, began in about 2007. A couple of our other programs we have our community service program, which occasionally it can be used from probation parole, sending people over maybe instead of serving jail time. So it might be a sanction where they can do like 20 hours community service instead of serving jail for a violation. One of our more recent programs is our Case Management Treatment Services program. This program's it's geared towards medium and high risk offenders that addresses their not only substance abuse needs, but also their criminogenic needs. So in conjunction with our clinic, our AOD treatment clinic is ACS services. We definitely work with the probation parole population, and again, some of our maybe higher risk offenders that were in our diversion or OWI program. So that's all I have. I don't know if anyone has questions.
Do you want to share where you're located now?
Oh,
in case people didn't know?
yeah, we recently moved in last fall. It's 903 North 2nd Street, which is by Cloverbelt Credit Union, right in downtown Wausau area.
It's the old Family Counseling Services building by the YMCA. Okay, Nick.
Hello, I'm Officer Stetzer with the Wausau Police Department. I'm filling in for Paula Schultz, who is the coordinator for Marathon County Restorative Justice. I'll just pass a couple of pamphlets over you. She couldn't attend today because she's in a training in Appleton, so she asked me to come along. So hopefully I can answer most of your questions if we have any. If not, I'll do my best to make sure I get the correct answer to you. Paula is the main facilitator at Marathon County Restorative Justice. We get referrals from school resource officers, we get referrals from the court system, we get referrals from patrol officers, we also get referrals from social services. Most of the referrals are disorderly conduct and non-violent offenders that have gone through the court system that mainly get charged with disorderly conduct, criminal damage to property, offenses like that. She recently started a program with me at the police department through the city of Wausau. It's called the Teen Driving Program. The program consists of somebody that gets a traffic offense that's on a probationary license, so it's anybody from 16 up to 18, or somebody that's just getting their license. Most of the cases we've had so far have only been teen drivers. We haven't had any adults that have gone through the program. So it fits our wording for the program. Somebody gets stopped for, say, a red light violation, they go through a red light and didn't stop, they get a mandatory court appearance since they're on a probationary license. They have to go to court, the judge reviews their case, see if they have any criminal history or driving history. If they don't have any criminal history and it's a first-time offense, the judge offers this program. What this program involves is they have to meet with the facilitator and an officer. We have 6 officers currently that are volunteering to meet with juveniles and young adults to go over their offenses, and hopefully we can prevent it from happening again. We meet with them for an hour. We talk about what their offense involved, how the interaction with the officer went. A lot of times it's their first time interacting with officers, so it's kind of interesting to see what they think. A lot of times you say, oh, it's not that bad, or it's not that scary as I thought. Red lights and stuff like that, it's never fun getting pulled over, but it's not a bad experience. We talk with them a little bit more in detail about what we can do in order to prevent them from coming back to our program, or prevent anything else from happening, such as getting hurt or something like that while driving. And then we watch a couple videos that are, I don't know, I think they're pretty impactful. They show people that get in a crash and ultimately distractions such as alcohol, texting and driving, talking on the phone, stuff like that to prevent, show them really that serious harm could happen if they don't pay attention and focus on their driving. Then after that, they do a community service depending on what their citation amount was. Most of the time we get a citation for 9880, which is pretty much a common citation for the city of Wausau, and they have 9 hours of community service. So once they get that done, then they have to write a letter explaining their experience and what they can do in the future in order to prevent them from coming back into the court system for traffic violations. Ultimately prevent them from getting hurt on the road, and protecting other people and make sure they're safe on the road as well. Then after that, after they complete everything and everything's good to go, we send it back to the judge and the ticket gets dismissed. And they have to pay $40 to the program, and that's about it. It's been a really successful program. We started it in May, and we've had about 65 clients so far. Seems like it's going pretty well. So we haven't had anybody fail the program yet. I just did statistics, and we've had a few people get citations afterwards. Unfortunately, there was one male that got cited for OWI first afterwards and received 4 citations. So that kind of skewed the statistics a little bit. But the program has been really successful so far, and hopefully we can maintain that successfulness. But it's really impactful for parents as well, because I'm sure most of you know that if you're on a probationary license, your points double after you get cited, which is kind of a bummer. Insurance goes up, skyrockets. So it's really good for parents because they don't have to pay those premiums, higher premiums after getting cited. But it's also educational for the kids, which is ultimately more important. They learn that driving is a privilege, it's not a right. And if they're safe on the road, they can protect themselves and other people. Anybody have any questions on Restorative Justice or the teen driving program at all? Thank you.
You guys are quite fun. Just a couple things before, since there's no questions, unless there's questions, just to kind of bring up, one of the things just to point out, like Melanie said, we have a lot of support to implement a drug court here, but we do not have the treatment options available to be able to support it. So, if you're passionate about this, we need voices more than just the boots on the ground people. We need passionate people in the community to be talking to our local policymakers, to be talking to our treatment providers, to look at ways that we can bring more treatment options in and link people to that, because it's great need. We need it sooner than later, but it's going to take a lot of people saying, yes, we support this, for people to do something as crazy of an idea as raising taxes, maybe, perhaps. They want to hear that there's support for it. And any policymaker will tell you that. I'm going to look at Pat and he'll probably, yes. And then,
I have a question.
sure.
And this maybe would go to Melanie. The OWI course, when you compare it to states Michigan and Georgia, do they also start it at the 4th felony offense, or do they start the OWI court earlier, like 2nd offense?
I'm not sure because I'm almost certain that their felony probably is 2nd or 3rd
Right.
OWI. So I'm not sure if they started sooner. We took a look at the national model, and this is where they said, you know, 1st, 2nd, even 3rd, the treatment that we require has to be high risk, high need, as well as 4th, 5th, or 6th, just because statistically that is what's been shown to us, that it's most effective for these individuals.
Okay.
Yeah, and one thing with restorative justice too, I did invite the adult version of restorative justice, because Officer Spencer talked about the juvenile version, which Paula actually works out of Goodwill Industries. So she's not an employee with social services. She's not an employee with one of the governmental agencies or so on. She works out of Goodwill Industries. She's a staff of one. There used to be other staff there to help her. So she's working a lot with these kids. They're always looking for community service opportunities. So if you have something in your organization, it could be stuffing envelopes, it could be some remedial type task like that, that you don't want to necessarily dedicate someone's work time there. That's the kind of stuff that they're looking for. They actually, I had a group of kids that not only stuffed our pushback bags last year, but they delivered thousands of bags in neighborhoods. It's a great opportunity for the people that are working in the program, whether it's the social service workers or Paula, to be talking with the youth while these things are going on. So it's a great opportunity. Again, if you have anything that you can, someone can volunteer their time, the information for Paula is I'm sure it's on the handouts as well. Addict's website, it does have a lot of information of the different programs and contact information for what they offer there, so I would also suggest checking them out. And there is an adult version of restorative justice that's run through the district attorney's office, but they weren't able to make it today. So there is that opportunity there at the adult level too. I'm not as familiar with that program, but I do know that it is there. Beyond that, if nobody has really any other follow-up questions, we can, I'm not going to keep you here for longer than we need to. So thank you all for coming. I think we've covered everything that we planned on covering today. And enjoy the sunshine. Enjoy this gift of time, this extra half an hour. Take the gift or the Give and Get Help guides. Take the Parks and Rec guides. You can leave your evaluations on the table and your name tags on the table. I need to make sure I get some of you guys' name tags. And have a wonderful rest of your afternoon. And another hand for our presenters, who are very brave today.